We've had a discussion on how we're going to graph quadratic functions and find whether it's a max or a min, and also the domain and range, and now we're going to talk about solving the quadratic equation. So a quadratic equation, by definition, is a degree 2 polynomial. We're going to solve it, and when we do, it has potential of 2 solutions. We're going to review solving by 2 different ways. One is by factoring, and the other one is by completing the square. So we're going to focus on example 4 on how to solve by factoring. And if you apply the factoring technique, then you have to apply the key concept idea of the zero product property. The zero product property basically says if you multiply 2 numbers together and their answer is 0, then you know for sure that one of those 2 numbers, either A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0, or it's possibly that both are equal to 0. So we're going to use the idea of this zero product property to help us solve quadratic equations. So solve by factoring gives us a very good insight to how we want to do these. So we've got a quadratic equation that's already in standard form, and it's fairly critical that you get it in standard form, get one side equal to 0. So then after you have it one side equal to 0, then you want to try to factor. Well, we had factoring techniques that we talked about and strategies that we talked about last year. There's no monomial factor, and I've got a trinomial. And since I have a trinomial, it factors into 2 binomials. This is your first term, this is the result of your outside, inside, and this is the result of your last terms in the FOIL acronym. So x times x is x squared. Then, since I know the sign is positive, I know the signs must be exactly the same inside my parentheses. I peek in here, and they must both be negative. So negative, negative. Now I need to think about factors of 12 that I can add together and get 8. Well, if I use 6 and 2, 6 times 2 is 12. That gives me my last term, and now if I add the outside, inside ones together, I'll end up with negative 8x. So this is the correct factorization of our equation. Now really what we've done is we've made it something that looks like our zero product property. I called it the zero factor theorem. That's why I keep having a hard time calling it the zero product property. Sometimes we just refer to it as a zero factor theorem. The zero factor theorem says if I've got 2 numbers that are being multiplied together like I do here, one of these 2 numbers, either the x minus 6 has to equal 0, or the x minus 2 has to equal 0, or as you saw, maybe it's both. So if it's the x minus 6 that equals 0, that would force x to equal a 6. Our other option for a solution is when x is equal to a 2, I simply solve each of these equations for x, and it gives me my solution set. So my solution set for this quadratic is the order, or not the order pair, but the solution set is 2, 6. That's why we're using braces, so we don't confuse that with the order pair. It is a solution set. Those are the 2 things that make it work.